Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday morning. I am your host, the man with the oncoming illness, Mr. Kadish. And for once, we have our entire panel of nerds here ready to go at the start of the show. This never happens. Mr. Butters, how are you doing today?
I'm here. Feeling pretty good actually today. Surprisingly more so than normal. So at least I could walk when I got out of bed today. So, that's always an improvement. Doing great, man. It's ready to talk about some is this nerd stuff today? I feel like these topics are not like really in our normal realm of dorkness. So I guess we'll see how it goes. So what's up, everybody?
Well, nerd is a state of mind, Mr. Butters.
I guess so.
States of mind. We have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Brian from the Popcast. How you doing, Brian?
You know what? I'm doing better now after all these years of knowing Blaine. He finally followed me on Twitter. So wow. I don't know why it took so long, bro.
That was our main account. That was that one.
Okay. All right.
I'm pretty sure my personal follows you, maybe.
All right. That makes sense.
Nobody follows Brian online because he's got nothing good to say.
It's weird. It's weird. Why am I here?
Brian and I talk all the time on Twitter and stuff.
It's true.
Yeah.
We whisper sweet nothings to each other when we're just lying in bed. It's like
we do.
Look, what you doing?
Hey, what you doing?
What you wearing?
TV.
What'd you eat today? Oh, that's
How's
nice.
your feet? Yeah.
Had a burrito.
Matt does actually randomly text me sometimes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Criticless super fans, we've got the super fan of the super fans, OMB Reviews. How you doing, Odin?
I'm doing okay. I got really crazy sick last weekend, and so I've been recovering from that all week, and now I still got stuff in my lungs. So I don't know if I just got two different things back to back at the same time, whatever. But I'm glad to be back. Sad to have had to have missed last week. But happy to
that's
talk
the same
about some
thing.
stuff.
Like I can feel it in my chest right now. Like it's the germ that's getting ready to explode.
Too much cocaine, guys. Come on. You got
My wife's had
take it easy with that.
Same thing all last week too. And my kid caught it. And so now I guess it's my turn.
You know what you guys should do is take some ivermectin. Ivermectin will cure everything. So
I've heard that.
We're not doctors and we do not give medical advice.
Well, you know who does give a lot of advice, whether we want it or not, is Tom Connors Jr. How you doing, Tom?
I'm here. What did I do now?
You showed up.
You're on time and you're not eating cereal. So
he's got his camera on too. It's amazing. You're such a good-looking guy.
Because I was shamed into having my camera on by Mr. Kadish. I think everybody should know this.
Well,
it's in protest.
We enjoy your godlike visage on the show.
That's right.
So all of our
Buddha?
female fans demand it. Yeah.
When your camera's on, you make all of us look better, Tom. So that's
It's this effervescent glow just emanating from the center of the screen, man.
Yes, indeed.
that's right.
I want to kick Dutch Butters in the face right now.
Speaking of effervescent, we have the man behind Criticless on the show yet again today, Criticless Blaine. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. I'm good. It's like this is my OG YouTube family. This is the guys that put Criticless on the map. Like y'all are the squad. So I'm happy to be back. It's been way too long. I've missed all you guys. So
I'm like the worst critic on Criticless.
That would be me right now.
I totally suck at all. There's no consistency whatsoever in my reviews.
Well,
I'm not consistent, but my reviews are awesome. So
the Salty Nerd podcast was the first to bring attention to the Criticless app. And Blaine, since then, it's just been a wild, crazy ride for you. Why don't you give everyone an update on what's going on with Criticless?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of we're starting to get on everyone's radars. And if you don't know what we are, we're an entertainment reviewing platform. We're on Android and Apple as far as the app goes, but we're a website as well. And so we're kind of I've been popping around all over the internet, and the Geeks and Gamers crew has kind of found us and all of that F&T squad. And so slowly but surely, everyone's making their way onto the app. OMB has just been rooting for us out there, helping to push us along, and we're getting on everyone's radar, and it's been great. We're getting a lot of big personalities on there, a lot of the people that you follow on YouTube. So it's great to come on there, follow those people. If you agree with them, add them to your friends with benefit in the app, that sort of thing. And it's been great. It's fun to see so much traction happening and how quick we're growing. And like I was telling these guys before the show started, we're getting people just constantly heckling me about when we're adding video games. And to that, I say I have absolutely no idea, but hopefully sooner than later. So yeah, it's stuff's been great, and the support from this community has been amazing. So I really do appreciate it, and all you guys kind of rallying behind us, because that's what it takes to put a big platform like this on the radar of everyone and get them using it. So I appreciate it.
Well, the Criticless app is definitely the best app for reviews out there, hands down better than Rotten Tomatoes. Odin, do you agree with that assessment?
I do agree indeed. It's really awesome, and I remember it was promoted on the Salty Nerd Discord, and I immediately was drawn to it. And as soon as I started trying it, I fell in love with the app. Just loving that retro feel that it has to it, and also just a lot of the functionality. It made reviewing movies fun again, and it really honestly built such a great community of people that is really just from all over. That's what I also love about it, is that there's not just people in our space over there. There's normies over there. There's hardcore MCU shills over there. I mean, there's every single person that you could think of is represented, and that's why it's great, because the whole friends with benefits thing is great, because then you could say, hey, these are people I trust, and let me put their reviews first above all other things, and it's really cool. That's again a big feature.
Never thought I'd hear Odin say friends with benefits were cool.
Yeah, that's why we added it, just so we could hear people say it. It's perfect. And I can say, so I was actually on a call yesterday. We're brewing a new feature that is pretty cool. I think Odin will get excited about this, but we're talking about doing shared lists, so you can actually have multiple people in a list, and you can rearrange them and add favorites and all that sort of thing, like together with other people, which is going to be pretty cool. So
Nice.
Odin is such a big Criticless fan that he actively shames everyone who doesn't post on Criticless on a regular
including
basis.
yourself.
Yeah, as it should happen.
I'm on the receiving end of that. That's how I know about it. But our big claim to fame here at the Salty Nerd is Dutch Butters and his low effort shit missile statement that has apparently caught on. Isn't that right, Blaine?
It has, like wildfire. It really did, because I can't remember who it was. It was somebody in this space that was notorious for terrible opinions, and I can't remember who it was that came in and gave like 500 reviews in a single day, and they were just bombing everything that everybody loved. And Dutch was like, he went into the comment section and was like, "This is nothing but a low effort shit missile," and so now it's used app wide. So it's the perfect slang for a low effort review that bombs something that you love.
Here, click my link to hear my review. That's not a review. So
yeah.
Yes, well, we here at Salty Saturdays pride ourselves on being the premier low effort shit missile in the movie tube space. And if you want to support us, we're trying to get 15 new members this live stream. We've been coming up a little bit short past couple live streams, not quite hitting that goal. But if you can help us hit 15 as dictated by Mr. Butters himself, we will really appreciate that. Also, guys, we recently hit 20,000 subs, so now our next big goal is 25,000 subs. So if you guys like the show, you like us, well, some of us anyway, be sure to subscribe and also share out our videos, and let's try and get up to 25,000 subs. It took the Force of Light girls way less time to hit that number than it did us.
Well, look, they're much better looking, and they have these nice things on their chests that people like to look at. So
if Dutch would hurry up and show his feet.
Yeah, I know. If Dutch would just show his feet, we could.
Yeah, bro, we could have had this solved a long time ago, Dutch.
If I was a hot chick with giant knockers, we'd have 150,000 subs by now. So
that's true.
It's just how it is. I'm not saying that's what they do over there, because it's not. But
there's some wholesome ladies.
They're so wholesome.
There.
They are
How
very
dare
wholesome
you.
ladies.
They are very wholesome, and we love the Force of Light girls platonically.
They're way
guys,
easier on the eyes than this.
Also, if you don't feel like commenting, be sure to hop on over to saltynerd.discord.com and join our Discord. Butters, what's going on our Discord? We got like a big community over there, don't we?
Oh, a lot of people are there. We're playing video games, dude. It's I think the video game side is completely taken over the Discord, except for a few people who insist on talking about stuff that aren't video games, which is great, because I would really like to have more people that aren't video gamers over there to keep us honest. But we merged the Salty Nerd Gaming channel. At first we just kind of added a section there, and then all of a sudden people just started swarming the place, and it has really taken over. So it's mostly video game talk, but it's really cool because we still have the two different sections separated, and we can talk about whatever we want over there. And it's good. Really a lot of good people over there. And a lot of the video gamers are talking about movies and nerd shows that they like as well. So it's fun.
Also want to give a big shout out to friend of the channel, Mephisto, with Mephisto's movie reviews and his Real McCoy podcast. Definitely check that out. But you know what else you guys should check out is The Brain Show, BRAN, not BRAIN. We're going to automatically shift all of our viewers over to the Popcast Brain Show right after the show is over. It starts at 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern time. And Brian, what are you guys talking about today?
We're talking about the Epstein files. We're really pushing for that demonetization for a fourth time. So, no, the whole Pam Bondi Epstein files, while they're probably never going to be released, and the whole thing that happened the last couple of weeks and what's going to happen next week, it's going to be a wild ride.
Why are they never going to be released? What's going on? I'm not really paying attention.
Too many people on the take, bro. There's no way.
Half the government be shut down the country? Is that what's going on?
It would be a disaster.
Let's do it.
It'd be a disaster. I'm down. I'm completely down. I'm down to hit that reset button and just let the chips fall. But cowards, man.
Well, you know it's not a disaster, Brian, is our leaderboard. So we got Made You Say But still at number 1 for his $300 super chat. Followed closely by Scotty Dub for $200. Made You Say Butts is this close to becoming our top contributor, but that honor still belongs to Scotty Dub. But Made You Say Butts is our top super chatter, along with Mexican Iron Man, who is our most consistent donator. And, of course, our top gifters, Jillian H., Major Chai Chai, and Eric Winberg. I want to just say that we appreciate you guys for all the gifted subs that you drop. And right on time, Eric Winberg comes in and drops his one Salty Nerd Podcast gifted membership. Appreciate that. And Criticast, Criticless has helped us reach our goal of 20 Salty Nerd Podcast
my God.
memberships.
Man, who are those guys?
Whoever they are, they helped us hit our goal. So we appreciate you. And of course, friend of the show, John Yulden, for £4.99, aka £5. Have a great show, guys, and have a great weekend, everyone. Thumbs up. You know, John, I wish that you were on the show right now because I'd like to get your take on this Harry Potter story we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But before we get to that, guys, we have an update on the Gene Hackman death. Now, for those of you who are regular viewers of our show, you know that we've talked about, Gene Hackman's passing in previous episodes and how bizarre the circumstances are. Well, the coroner has just come out, or the medical examiner, and released their autopsy report on both Gene Hackman and his wife, and things just got way, way stranger. Tom, do you want to fill in the audience on what was announced?
Well, yeah. Sadly, it was one of those situations, somewhat like I was kind of speculating on, where it was just an unfortunate set of circumstances that happened to transpire. Unfortunately, it was even worse than some of us could have imagined as far as what Gene might have gone through in his last week or so of life. But basically what happened was, according to the report, his wife had passed away from, I can't remember the name of the disease, but it's a disease that comes on real quick. It's got flu-like symptoms. It starts with an H. Some virus. Yeah, sorry, not a disease, a virus. Sorry, thank you. And she passed away, and she had sadly been dead for a week before Gene finally succumbed to his heart disease and Alzheimer's and probably lack of food and water because he probably hadn't been cared for. And so it was just a situation where two people who were probably isolated for the most part didn't have anybody check on them for the better part of a month. And this is what sadly occurred. And yeah, it's a sad situation, and Gene will be missed, and he is a legend in Hollywood, and it's sad that he went out like this. But this is a situation where you got to sit down and ask, where are the kids?
Exactly.
Right?
I was just
he's
going to
got
say
like
that.
6 or 7 kids. It's like, where are they? What
Ridiculous.
is going on here? Because the way they were even talking, they made it sound like they hadn't talked to him in a while and Gene was fine. It's like, no, clearly he had advanced Alzheimer's from what they had said in this report. And he
Yeah,
probably died
so-
from not taking his meds and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So the way that this timeline breaks down is kind of interesting. So his wife was his caretaker,
Yes.
and she apparently contracted this hantavirus or hunavirus,
Hantavirus, however you say it. Yeah.
and hantavirus, however you say it. And this is a virus that's only transferred from rats to humans because it's like a weird offshoot of the coronavirus. And but it can't be transferred from human to human, apparently not yet anyway. So she contracted this. They're estimating like maybe like a month or two ago, and like she just felt like it was like a cold or flu,
Like the flu,
type symptoms. Yeah. And what she didn't realize is that the fluid was building up in her lungs because of this virus, and eventually, like I think, passed out because of lack of oxygen to the brain. And then while she was unconscious on the floor of the bathroom, she just kind of like passed away. And their dog had just had a procedure done, like a medical procedure, and that's why it was crated. And apparently Gene Hackman, who was basically alive for like a whole week after his wife died, suffering from advanced Alzheimer's. He probably didn't even know that she was missing or who she was. He probably forgot about the dog. And eventually, basically, they listed his cause of death as heart disease. So like his heart basically just kind of gave out. And so he died like a week after his wife had passed away while she was still in the house. And everyone's like, why weren't people checking on them? They have like caretakers for their house and all this other stuff. So it was a very odd kind of like sequence of events that kind of led to this double death. It's very, very strange, but it's also quite tragic. Blaine, have you seen anyone commenting about the death on the app or anything like that?
Not what happened. This new news. Everybody was really talking about it when it first happened, and all the speculation and stuff. And we did get, every time somebody passes like this, we get this huge spate of like reviews coming through of people, and a lot of them are just really heartfelt and neat and about memories about the person who's passed and stuff. And we did have that sort of thing happen with him, and this is just tragic. That sounds absolutely terrible. And I can't think of anything in recent memory as far as a celebrity death that has really seemed to like hit with people the way that this has in quite a while. It was like every stream I was on for like a week, we were doing, tier ranking lists of his movies and things like that. And so this has really been on people's minds for sure. And I mean, I'm glad that it wasn't anything nefarious like people were possibly speculating, but this also sounds quite terrible. So,
well, there's still some conspiracy theories going on out there about this
I'm sure.
death. Go ahead, Dutch.
I'm really upset with his kids. That's the one thing. I mean, that really torques me. I'm just like, my parents they're elderly, they're getting old, but my brother lives with them at this point, and if he wasn't there, I would probably at some point have to do something like we just did with my mother-in-law who passed away last month. She lived with us because she was getting to the point where she couldn't really take care of herself, and old people deserve our respect and they deserve to be cared for properly. And they brought you into this world, and it's our job to help their exit from it to be comfortable. And it pisses me off that these kids took 2 fucking weeks or longer before they even knew what was going on with their parents.
They would have known had somebody else not discovered it at this point.
They'd still be laying there, and it makes me angry the more I think about it. So I'm going to quit talking about it.
Well, here's something to cheer you up, Dutch. We got the queen of gifted memberships,
Nice.
Jillian H., giving us 5 Salty Nerd Podcast memberships. Thank you so much, Jillian. Always appreciate you. All right, guys, what isn't really appreciated, though, is some casting news about the upcoming Harry Potter show. In particular, it looks like they're going to race swap Severus Snape. And guys, I don't know if you know this, but Harry Potter's kind of a big deal. It's like up there with Star Wars in terms of worldwide fan base.
Kind of.
But there's a little bit of misinfo going on out there that I want to kind of touch on. So the thing that's really been driving this news has been this discussing film post where it says Papa Isidore has now been cast as Severus Snape in the Harry Potter series, and its source is Deadline as its source. And as with most things, Twitter, everything, everyone sees this and it's like, oh my God, they cast Severus Snape. But if you actually go to Deadline, it says that they're near to a deal to play Snape in the HBO series. So like they're in the middle of casting. They just cast John Lithgow as Dumbledore. So Severus Snape hasn't yet been cast. Papa Isidore hasn't been cast yet. But according to Nellie Andreeva, I don't know what her sources are, but they said that they're very close to signing a deal with him to play Snape. So it's not 100% sure yet, but the likelihood of it happening is quite high. So Blaine, I want to start with you and get your take on this. What do you think about them casting a black man as Severus Snape, who happens to be Harry Potter's biggest foil?
Right. Yeah. This is just such an odd choice because there are a lot of the professors and stuff that they could have done something like this with that I think that people would have had less of an issue with. But this specific one, with how he's described and the pale of skin, the greasy hair that's long and all this stuff, like it just doesn't work for this character. And it seems like most people are pretty against this thing. I'm not a huge fan, but I'm at the point where it's like I came to the conclusion to just laugh about this. I ended up making a video for our Criticless cast channel yesterday, and I'm like, look, here's the deal. I want him to look like Andre 3000. Like I want the straight long black hair like from Outcast. I want him to just like full blown emo. If they're gonna go for it, go hard. But the thing is, it's like this dude is not. He's the wrong age. He's the wrong like stature and build. Everything about him just doesn't really fit this character at all. He's fairly good looking. He is a decent actor. I watched him in Gangs of London, and he's one of the lead characters in that, and he's a pretty good actor, but it's just one of these things that they keep doing where it's like, just because he's a good actor doesn't mean that this is the right choice, and it's not. And all it's going to do is tick off your fan base when there's plenty of other race-swapped casting that they probably could have done for lower-level characters that wouldn't have bristled anybody.
Yeah, Dutch, your daughters are big Harry Potter fans, and as is my wife. And Jude, when she heard this casting, she was like, yeah, I just lost all interest in this HBO show because they said that it was supposed to be highly accurate to the books. It's going to take like 7 seasons and all this other stuff. But then when they cast people like this, not only does it become problematic from like a race perspective, but it also kind of cheapens the adaptation. So what's your take on this? Is your daughter have you heard anything from her about it?
I actually have not talked to my daughter about it. But I think I will. I think I'm going to ask her. Maybe I'll text her today and see what she thinks about it. If she even knows about it, she's been dealing with a lot of other stuff. But hearing about your wife, who I know very well, and we all know she's like the world's largest Harry Potter fan. You guys had a Harry Potter themed wedding, for God's sakes. And that blows my mind. And that to me does not fare well for this show if they're going to go ahead and go through with this, because I mean, I know they're trying to cultivate a new audience for this thing, but they're not going to, because the next generation coming up, they're going to have their own thing. Just like Star Wars, they try to cultivate a new audience of Star Wars, and what do? They just destroy the franchise. And the same thing's going to happen to Harry Potter. So hearing about Jude's reaction to this, first off, doesn't surprise me, and secondly, it confirms my thoughts, because I don't consider myself a huge fan of the Harry Potter series, but I do enjoy it. I've enjoyed watching it watch my daughter, enjoy it.
Yeah,
and
me
it was
too.
always kind of cool. I've told you guys before, it's like how I always tell her, you're just like me. You're a Star Wars fan, but with Harry Potter, y'all dress up in your robes and you go to your little conventions and you toss your wands around and Expelliarmus this and Leviosa that and do all this kind of stuff. And she goes, I am not a nerd. I go, yeah, you're a huge nerd. You're just like me. But I don't think she's going to like it. I really don't think she is going to. And I'm not sure if she's going to want to see this series any more than just out of curiosity, more so than being a fan of it. So I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's just more DEI bullshit. And it makes me kind of sad, because I think they should just stick to the source material, because that's what normal people want these things to be. They want people to stick to the source material for this stuff. And we're not going to go remake Roots and cast and cast Kunta Kinte with Ryan Reynolds or something. That would it's you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on.
I want to see that so bad now.
Yeah. It's just stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Brian, if they cast a black guy in the role of Severus Snape, doesn't that make Harry Potter's dad an extreme racist, and his mom not
what up, mudblood?
Date a black guy, and all this other stuff? Like, why can't the HBO people see the problems with casting a black guy in this role?
Well, aside from like the canonical issues, there are so many better options, man. A bunch of people on Twitter were saying Adam Driver, 100%. Adam Driver would. He would blow that role away. It'd be amazing. But then if you want someone older, you got like people that can do the role too, like Nathan Fillion or Josh Brolin. Like, there's a lot of options out there, and the fact that they're going to go for like some young, decent-looking black guy, when in no way does it fit the character from the books, the movies, in any way. That doesn't fit the character whatsoever. If they do that, it means that they don't really care about the pre-existing fan base, and they're just hoping to win a new fan base. But what they don't understand is how many kids are like subscribed to Max. I want to know that. How many young people are subscribed to Max? It's not a thing. If you want to get a new fan base, you need to appease the old fan base, and the old fan base will bring the new fan base along for the ride. Mm-hmm. This is not rocket science. We've been doing this since the 70s. But for some reason, the last 15 years or so, they've just abandoned the entire concept of growing a franchise, and they just go, let's just reset it. And it hasn't worked once. Not one time has this method worked. So I think that a lot of these DEI choices are going to just die on the vine. USAID is gone, right? And we know that there was a lot of interesting dark funding going for pushing diversity, DEI. And I don't know if money-wise it makes sense anymore for a studio to go, well, we're probably going to take a bath in this film. But we already made our plenty of money through this, ESG, DEI, USAID score. That's not really happening anymore. So
those days are over, man.
Those days are over. I fully expect some of these companies to start making moves that are reminiscent of the old days, where franchises continued on in a way that pleased the existing fan base and didn't try to push some kind of crazy propaganda. I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think this guy's going to be cast as Snape, because I don't think Warner Brothers is stupid. They haven't been stupid. They haven't been 100% stupid. The last,
keep in mind, this is HBO more so than it is Warner Brothers, because I sent you guys a story.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think that there's going to be enough backlash where even if someone is considering it, they're going to be like, let's nip this in the bud.
I want to throw this to Tom Connors Jr. Tom, even though Deadline says it's near a deal, how certain are you that this is like a done deal?
Probably pretty close, because it was the same thing with Lithgow. They probably have pretty good sources. And also, like I said, the story I just sent you in the background, they probably got it from one of these people that's in there, because they have what I call the wall of woke at HBO. Because for those who don't know, HBO is kind of a separate division from Warner Brothers. Even though it's owned by Warner Brothers, it's kind of its own thing. Because if you guys go back and remember, everybody and anybody who was part of HBO was bad-mouthing David Zaslav as he was coming in. And basically what we know now is that HBO is run by a bunch of bitches. And that's what I'm calling them, a wall of woke. And do I believe this shit's real? Abso-fucking-positively-lutely. Because not only that, I've been trying to tell people for a while, J.K. Rowling may be based when it comes to men and women's sports, but she's as woke come when it comes to anything else, because she's already signed off several times on race changes to her characters, like in that play and stuff like that. So I won't be surprised if Harry Potter is the only white motherfucker in the show. And even then, it'll just be because they know they can't get away with casting anybody who doesn't look like that quintessential idea of what you have in your head.
But it will
of
be a
Harry
woman.
Potter. It might be a girl. It might be a
Harrietta
trans.
Potter.
We don't know. Harrietta Potter. We don't know.
Right.
But on the other side of this, I will say this. Look, Popeye didn't eat spinach right away. Superman didn't know who the fuck Jimmy Olsen and certain other people were until the radio show. Like, see, things come along years after something is introduced. We got to remember there's only been one Harry Potter thus far, right? So at 20, 30, 40 years from now, these kind of conversations might not even be had. And we may actually have a Harriet Potter by then, right? We don't know where this franchise will go in the next 20, 30 years. It could be dead for all we know. I'm old. I'm not a Harry Pothead, at least in the sense of this franchise. It was way past my time. I tried watching the first movie. I never got into it. I understand why people like it.
Yeah, for me too. The kids are too young. Too young.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like I'm kind of on the outside looking at this going, of course they cast a black guy in this role because they're fucking stupid. Because it's more of the same shit. And these women are probably part of that I'm discussing with you guys here. And they even tell you who's a part of the whole Harry Potter program in that article I just sent you too, because I guess it has the smallest group of people controlling it. And I'm sure J.K. Rowling is one of those people that has to sign off on everything because she has control over the franchise still. Because Warner Brothers doesn't technically own it; they just license it. So,
well, I'm sorry, J.K. Rowling? Everybody seems to like her because of her take on all the trans stuff. But other than that, she's like a super woke lefty, right?
that's what I mean. Yeah, because like she signed off on what was it? Hermione was race swapped in that play. And
The Cursed Child,
and she signed off on that as official canon. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hermione's black in this show.
Yeah, she's a left wing. She's hyper leftist. She just doesn't, she has a problem with erasing women. That's just.
And
we can all agree on that. Cool, but she's still hyper leftist.
I have a question. Why can't these big IPs, why can't they ever move forward? Why do we have to keep getting rehashes and repeats of the things we've already gotten? Why don't
it makes more sense. It would make more
Ginny
sense.
and Harry's kids or something, I don't understand. So
well, Dutch, I want to throw that to Odin because Odin, the winds are shifting. It's becoming very clear that audiences, Americans, the government, they're all rejecting DEI. Hollywood seems to be recognizing that, albeit slowly. What do you think is the motivation behind sticking to their guns with this particular race swap? I mean, Snape's not even a redhead, so it kind of doesn't make any sense to cast a black guy in that role. But what's your take on that?
It just sounds like whoever is involved at the top is still very much an activist. I mean, this is something that we've seen now just for so long. And that's why whenever you hear, the winds are changing and this or that, and there might be some evidence that some places and some people might be going through some kind of metamorphosis of some kind. It's very clear from decisions like this, or at least potential ones, because as has been mentioned, this has not been made official yet, though I would definitely probably go more so with Tom to say that I think it's very likely at this point based on the reporting that we're getting. And it just reminds you that these activists just do not really care. They don't care about source material. They don't care about money even, right? They don't care about just the massive profits that they could be getting if they actually gave people and gave fans a faithful adaptation without any of these types of random changes and these race swaps and all these other things that just go against what book fans have been clamoring for. I mean, they've been wanting, even my wife, who is not really at all like me politically, even she is a hardcore book fan, looks sometimes at these castings and just has to scratch her head and say, that's not how they were described in the book. That's not how they were described in the book, because she knows them so well. She's listened to the book countless times in her life. At this point, she loves the Jim Dale version and the Jim Dale readings of the books. And so it honestly just drives me nuts that these activists still have a foothold within these industries. And it's not going to be until we actually, it's not going to be until, Trump and everyone in government can do all the things that they want when it comes to public sector stuff, but private sector stuff is still very much a different ballgame. And so until we get people, within these companies to actively start to push these activists out, we're never going to see any long lasting change, unfortunately.
The
You know
crazy
it does
thing
have-
is, yeah, I was
Go
just
ahead,
going to say
Stuart.
that they have already turned on this entire franchise like a long time ago, simply because of JK and everything she has stated and whatever.
It's true.
They don't want to contribute to it. They turned on the game back when it came out, but the game still did gangbusters. Like, they keep getting proven that this
It was a
isn't
good
the
game.
audience.
That helps.
Right. It was fantastic, right? And it's like they didn't need to pander to this group. Why are they still doing it when they're already turned on you and saying that they're not going to watch it and care?
That's a really good point.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's part of the reason why, right? You just answered both questions. Like, this is
Right.
what I've been calling the final reef for a while. And what that is where they'll try to burn everything down on the way out. They will try to make everything as woke as possible on the way out. Because you've seen a lot of the creatives do that already, right? Like, they've said, now that Trump is president, we got to triple down on it. We can't let them win. You know, it's like, no, you idiots. You'll learn sooner or later. And the upper people are starting to learn this, and this is why there's being changes, but the creative people just won't. And that's why I think this wall of woke is one of those things, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to change and destroy as much as they can on the way out, because to them, that's the only way they win, right? Because that's what this has all been about to begin with, is to try to reshape society and the way we think about things in pop culture and use it as propaganda, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's just another part of that. And then the other part you answered in your own question, basically, is that they just can't get out of their own way, basically.
I think Vic Fontaine in the chat kind of like sums it up pretty well with this with the fans, where he says, I have all the Harry Potters on 4K, like all of us do. I'm good. I'm just gonna skip it. So
Well, it would have made sense,
That's
like
the
you were
attitude,
saying,
right?
Dutch, to just kind of like have the old cast come back as adults, have
Sure.
some of them be teachers and whatnot now, and just see what their next generation is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of those people
then
already
you
burnt
can
that
cast
bridge with
whoever you
JK.
want.
right.
Yeah, but see, that's the
Right.
problem, is they already burnt that bridge with JK. They could have Cobra Kai'd this thing, but instead they screwed that all up.
The issue I have too is that, and I've mentioned this to my wife, and she actually likes the idea, because I mentioned, why in the world have they not gone like in the animated direction? Like, especially when it comes to the magic, when it comes to all the different things that can happen in this universe, you can do that so much more effectively, and it can look so much better than CGI green screen crap if you were just to have some type of animated version instead. And then it really doesn't matter at that point as much who you cast for voice acting, because as long as the voice matches what we perceive the character to be, then that's all that really matters. And so I think that would have been a better route to go, because then it would have been different. It would have then, I think, probably built more confidence that it would be more book accurate, because that's just something that a long-term series, especially within animation, could have potentially done. And it also would have gone after a very specific, audience demographic that would not have as much, I guess, crossover, but would also mean possibly new blood, being brought in.
Well, Odin, I think it's harder to launder money through animated features.
Yes.
But,
Well,
speaking
no,
of money,
that Saturday morning cartoons dying really destroyed
Speaking-
that.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, we got Kink in the Armor for $1.99. My wifey is 25. I am 46. She take care off when I old. Yes.
Is that let me see, 46 to be 20, 23 plus 7. Okay, no, he's good. I'm making sure he's in that.
No,
He's in the range.
And
So-
I don't know if you guys appreciated the fact that I did not use my Asian accent when
Yeah.
reading that.
I appreciated that. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't say the ch
I'll
word
do
either,
it.
so that was
Yeah.
really good. That was really
Go
good.
ahead, Tom. You do it.
wifey is 25. I am 46. She will take care of me when I am old.
There you go.
Yeah, when
My
I'm
good
old, no
wife.
one's taking care of me. I fully expect to die and my dog to eat me before someone finds me.
Brian, don't you have
Yeah,
like 12
you-
kids?
you-
I have
Brian-
2 kids, and they're going to be too busy.
Brian, you're going to be Hackman, is what's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to die. And
No, wait,
Matt,
stop.
Matt's
It
going
is-
to be
it is-
live still. He's going to be
Look,
calling me, asking me why I'm
it
not
is-
on the show.
It is too soon to make Hackman a word. Okay, that's not
That's fair.
bro.
Disagree.
You got to give.
I'm
it
just saying,
some
I will
more.
be eaten by my pets before I'm found. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Well, hemorrhoid hurts for Australian $2, and we appreciate you watching us at like 3 in the morning in Australia.
Yeah,
By
for
the
real.
way, here for that ticker and the chat and panel, of course. Yes, that's what we are
Right.
all here for, guys. You know what we are not here for though is Casey Anthony, and
Oh.
basically, much like Palpatine, Casey Anthony somehow returned. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Casey Anthony trial because it happened like over a
I'd rather
decade
not
ago.
be.
But it was about this young lady, this young mom. I think she was like 17 or 18 at the time. And she had a beautiful 2-year-old daughter who went missing. And she did not report that the daughter had gone missing for 31 days. And during that 31 days, she was out partying. She was living with her boyfriend, wasn't searching for her at all. It wasn't until her mom tracked her down because she had basically stolen their car and found out that her 2-year-old granddaughter was nowhere to be found. Ended up calling 911. An investigation ensued. There was a trial where she was basically arraigned for lying to the police, child endangerment, manslaughter, and first-degree murder because they ended up finding the remains of her child a couple blocks away from her family's house. And she went through a very public trial and was eventually found not guilty in the court of law. Now, in the court of public opinion, that was very different. However, 11 years later, she has come out and officially announced that she is going to be a legal advocate because she doesn't trust Donald Trump, and she wants to make sure that women and LGBTQIA plus individuals are protected. And so she went on TikTok and officially said that she is returning to make sure that what happened to her doesn't happen to other vulnerable individuals. And admittedly, she has been kind of dragged over the coals because of this, because everyone still believes that she killed her daughter. But it is kind of interesting with like the whole like influencer mentality. And Nancy Grace, who was very hard on her when the trial was actually going on, she came out and said that she believes that this is basically a cash grab, that Casey Anthony is still a psychopathic liar, still killed her child allegedly, and deserves all the ire that the internet can throw at her. So
my favorite comment was the one that said, Casey Anthony being a law advocate is like Jeffrey Dahmer opening a steakhouse.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
What I really love is all the best people are always coming out against Trump, right? Like that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
You know, I don't understand Casey when it comes to all this kind of stuff, because she could be an absolute multi-millionaire if she would just get on OnlyFans and start
100%.
Doing the thing over there. But no, she has to go and do whatever this nonsense is, and she's just going to.
There are definitely all types of crazies out there that would pay $30 a month to see
absolutely.
Casey Anthony give legal advice topless. You know,
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I'm not
That's
saying
about
I'm
how
one of them,
useful
but I
it
would
be.
certainly be interested.
If there was
Well,
anybody out there that OnlyFans was made for, it's Casey Anthony, right? I mean, there's literally nothing else this bitch can do other than show her tits on.
She can
on
shovel
a pay-per-view
fries.
UT. Yeah, I guess she could go work at Burger King or McDonald's. That's true. That's true. But would you
Well,
would you eat a burger that Casey Anthony
She
made?
can take my order.
Not me. I don't want nothing to do with this chick. So
well, Blaine, I want to throw this
Yeah.
to you first and foremost, because basically Casey Anthony says, like, here's the definition of a legal advocate. Okay. A legal advocate is a non-attorney who provides support and assistance to individuals navigating the legal system, offering information, resources, and emotional support, but without representing them in court or giving legal advice. And according to Nancy Mace, Casey Anthony's saying, like, I've been a legal advocate since 2011, and Nancy Mace is like, bitch, that's when you went on trial for murder.
Yeah.
So like you're counting your murder trial experience as part of your legal advocacy.
yeah, work experience, I guess.
Yeah.
Th-
So
that's some
what's your
hubris.
take? Yeah. Do you think that anyone's going to subscribe to the Substack and start asking Casey Anthony to advocate for them?
Well, so one thing she says in that video is that she's going to allow for a direct line of conversation to her. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people doing this, but I could absolutely see people doing this to simply troll the ever-loving shit out of this woman. Like, there is almost guaranteed that people are going to do that, and she's going to walk this back super quickly. And I saw somebody saying online, too, it's like, I like that one of the uniting things that has happened is that it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you're on, everybody's still against Casey Anthony. So her posting that TikTok video, she got absolutely freaking roasted. And this is not going to go well for her at all.
Yeah,
and I mean, yeah,
She's threatening to sue all those individuals who said shit
Right.
about her, though. Which is
Yeah, that's what I
Right.
was just gonna say. This is like she's just setting this up so people could talk crap about her, and then she
Right.
can lawyer up and sue them for defamation and get a payday out of it, and not have to worry about it anymore. But
she ain't gonna get shit.
no, of course
Yeah.
not. But it's I think that's probably what her game plan is. So
Well, Odin, part of her game plan here is, so for the past 11 years, she's been working as a assistant to the private investigator who worked on her case. He kind of took her under his wing as like her.
In other words,
like,
they fucking
surrogate father. No, they're not. It's not a romantic relationship. It was just he felt sorry for her. He believed that she was innocent because he investigated her case, and she's been living with like his family and working for him for like 11 years. A recent documentary just came out on the Peacock, where it was the first time Casey Anthony actually kind of like sat down and talked about the case and like what happened and things of that nature. And so like I think that was kind of like the prelude to like this new like career move of being a legal advocate. But I wanted to ask Odin because, forgiveness is kind of like a virtue. And she was found not guilty. And so the question becomes is like, if she didn't murder her daughter, obviously like it was like neglectful, but she claims that her father, who had been sexually abusing her for like her entire life, had so much control over her. And he kept telling her that, he had her kid and that she was safe, and she just believed him, and that was something that was introduced at trial. And it seemed to have an effect on the jurors. But do you think that there's ever like a path for someone like Casey Anthony to find forgiveness in the public eye?
I mean, well, everyone has an opportunity for forgiveness as far as, personal issues and sins and things of that nature. But when it comes to public perception, that's an entirely different matter. I think one of the big issues is that though the jury might have found her not guilty, people in the public did not get access to any, I guess, of the same information, or at least it has not really been brought up since. And that's kind of what the media does, right? Obviously, I think that when it comes to media reliance and respectability, it's already pretty dang low. However, I do think that it's like if there is so much to exonerate her, I feel like that would probably have been the better place for her to have gone in to, kind of make her case to the public if that's what she actually wants. I think that really, honestly, this just shows what kind of a narcissist she is, because she has to have attention. She has to have people paying attention to her. She has to have people that are coming to her for advice now, right? So I think that really, if anything, it shows us, okay, maybe you didn't actually commit this crime. However, you are still a narcissist. And I think that it's hard to have any sympathy for someone who is continuing to do something that in many ways I think is just downright despicable, because it's all about her.
Yeah. And Odin, what type of mother, like when their child goes missing, waits 31 days, and she didn't even call it in. The grandmother kind of forced her into that 911 call. Like,
Horrible one.
wouldn't you say like an average
The guilty
mother,
type.
like after maybe like 24 hours, would be calling the police and like asking people to help her find her kid?
Oh,
24 minutes.
absolutely.
I'm
the fact
losing
that
my
there was
mind.
even a day, like even just one day that had gone by. I mean, again, I would say hours is more respectable, but the fact that that a day, let alone 31 days, I mean,
Well, and the excuse you just told us is ridiculous.
yeah.
Like if that is true, then why would you even have your daughter with that person? Because to me, it doesn't matter if she necessarily actually caused the act of killing her daughter. Her poor choices and irresponsibility facilitated it one way or another.
Yeah.
It was the path that she chose. That is why it happened. I don't give a shit about any of her fucking excuses at this point.
yeah,
Because to me, this whole thing and her attitude, and you guys are right, like she comes off as one of the most twisted, self-centered, sycophantic, fucking, like, what's the word I'm looking for? She definitely has borderline personality disorder. Or something like
Sociopath.
that. Sociopath. That's the one I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah.
I look at it like this. I think every single person on this panel is a parent. Blaine, I don't know if you have kids yet or not, but
Oh yeah, I've got two.
yeah, okay. So we're all parents, right? Even if we go out with our friends or our wives or whatever for an evening or a vacation, I knew where my kids were at all times of
Yep.
every day. Even if they were staying with the grandparents for the weekend,
I got my
still
kids
knew where,
shipped,
I
bro.
still knew where those kids were.
I'm logging into
So-
my phone like, they're on
You know.
Sports and Alameda. I'm going.
And if,
Elon
like
keeps
Brian
track of them
said,
for
if
him.
my kid's missing, if somebody that I know doesn't know where my kids are, for even if it's 45 minutes to an hour, we want to know where the fuck my kids are at, and the cops are going to get called here very soon. It's this 31 days thing blows my mind. You know, I'm just kind of reliving this. She should have been thrown in jail just for that. It's insane to me.
Also, Matt, I don't know if you remember, but she made up a fictional nanny that she had been dropping Casey off with in order to supposedly fool her parents into thinking that she wasn't working or something like that. I don't know. Like, her lies are so numerous, it's hard to keep them all.
These
all
are
straight.
People that should be mandatorily sterilized or something, so they're not allowed to procreate in the real world. It's wild to me. I can't even.
Well, it was also kind of interesting because the parentage of Casey has never been confirmed, because the guy that she was dating at the time that she had her daughter, she said that, oh, it's your baby, and then he got DNA tests done. It turns out it wasn't his baby. So she lied about that, and then like the other two prospective potential fathers both died in a car accident mysteriously. So and then like she later came out and said that Casey was a product of rape, because like somebody had raped her at a party or something like that. All very strange. But Brian, one of the other strange things is this quote from one of the jurors on her case, where basically this juror said, "She seems like a horrible person, but the prosecutors didn't give us enough evidence to convict. They gave us a lot of stuff to think of that she probably did something wrong, but not beyond reasonable doubt." And another juror said, "I wish we had had more evidence to put her away." And these are the people that basically, brought in the not guilty verdict. And that's caused people to say like, well, she was found not guilty, but that doesn't mean that she's innocent. So what's your take on Casey Anthony and her attempts at rehabilitating her image?
First off, that sounds like expert level jury selection. So, the defense really chose the right people, because had they not, and they felt that way the entire time, yet they chose to give her not guilty just because the evidence didn't prove enough, then that's expert level jury selection. So hands off for the defense. As far as Casey goes, Matt, Dutch is completely right. She should be doing OnlyFans. She's got the body for it. That's all she needs to do to make money. I know Odin doesn't like that. I'm sorry, Odin, but what else is she going to do? No one's signing up to this.
Go
weird
away. That's
subscribe.
what she needs to do. She needs to go away.
She's got to make money somehow.
Get a job. Get a real job.
Welfare.
Yeah, I guess welfare. She can have more kids.
Yeah,
that might work.
Or how about she just gets a real job?
Yeah,
I think she's a little bit recognizable. It might be difficult. All I'm saying is, she is a monster, and I couldn't imagine waiting longer than a couple hours to not know where my kids are. When my wife and I went to Yosemite for our anniversary, we were gone for a few days. We knew where our kids were the entire time.
Yep.
They went with their aunt. They went to the mountains. They did a bunch of fun stuff for a few days while we were gone. We were not only aware of exactly where they were geographically, GPS, but we had communication with their aunt, with the people that were with them, and with them the entire time. Not an hour went by that I didn't know where my kids were. It's an insane concept for you to wait that long. I couldn't even imagine waiting a few hours. When my kids if my kids aren't where I think they are, then I start losing it. I literally go into panic mode when I don't know where my kids are. I left my 12-year-old home for an hour to go to the shop yesterday. I usually work from home, but I have a shop too. I have a studio. So I went down there to get some work done. 1 hour. Dude, that 1 hour, I was sweating. I'm like, this particular kid, she likes to cook stuff. I don't want her to get hurt. I'm like, I couldn't get a hold of her for a minute, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back home. I abandoned my work, and I was like, I'll do it when my wife gets home, because I got stressed out. Look, I know we live in a weird time where kids are very much babied by their parents. It may be because a lot of us grew up as Generation Xers, where we were like basically latchkey kids, right? And like the news had to remind our parents that they had kids, and our only rule was to be inside before the streetlights turned off.
Yeah.
We would
Yeah.
literally be kicked out of the house at like 7 a.m. with a granola bar and a tin cup for water.
But
And they'd be
Brian,
like, good luck,
Brian,
bro.
Look, here's the thing. I was the same way, but they still knew what general area of the world I was in.
Yes,
And
that's
if
what I
I
was gonna get to.
disappeared, they could go find me in about 10 minutes.
Yes, at
But
9
you-
o'clock,
but-
when the
right.
news reminded my parents that I was their son, they'd be like, where did that dude go?
Look,
But at
I'm
least
gonna-
she waited days? Oh,
Look,
what?
That's
I
why.
can
You
tell
guys
you-
were
I-
also old enough to ride bikes.
Look, listen,
Right.
true.
I'm going to tell
This
you
is a
right now.
2-year-old.
Right now,
Yeah.
I can tell you exactly where my 33-year-old daughter is. Right
Yeah.
this very second,
Right.
to the square foot on
So
the
can
map
I.
of the world.
Yeah,
With this-
I got
with
my
this
kids
thing.
shipped, bro.
There's
So-
another thing about this too.
Sounds
It
creepy,
feels-
but I'm not playing. Like, I know where they're at all the times. I can literally hit a button and listen to their conversations. I
Oh
don't,
my God.
but I could.
That's funny.
to me, this whole thing feels targeted with how she was like talking about like the LGBT stuff and like really targeting the left. I feel like she
Yeah.
thought that she was going to get a pass because it's a group of people that regularly let like murderers and all sorts of things get like a total
Bro.
pass for things if they're an ally. Like this feels super targeted.
Even Antifa care for their kids. Okay. So it's even left-wing nutbags love their children and don't believe
Yeah,
their
I
children
think
sit in a
she
fucking
miscalculated.
dumpster. So
I
it's
agree.
just
I also feel like
crazy.
the left would support her more if she entered sex work as opposed to legal
absolutely,
advocacy.
absolutely.
Right.
You know, Tom, what's your take on this? Because Casey Anthony does claim that she was sexually abused by her father, and so people saying like, "Oh, she should go to OnlyFans because like she's kind of hot," like that kind of denigrates like what her possible experience was. Now, keep in mind the father has denied this, and she is a pathological liar. So it's hard to say like where this falls on the spectrum here. But what's your take on it?
Well, you were just telling me a few minutes ago that she claimed she didn't call the 911 for 31 days because her dad kept telling her that her kid was all right. Well, what was her kid doing with her dad if her dad did that to her? Like, that's my first question. So I don't believe a fucking word this bitch says. She couldn't do anything more than run a carny or be a carny or work at Burger King. Go do that. Like the OnlyFans shit, honestly,
Carnival. Yeah,
I mean, yes, there are some desperate assholes out there, but most guys, like somebody who has this kind of a connection with their children, not
I'm
much of
pretty
a
sure-
turn on.
I'm pretty sure carny workers even have a code. So I don't know if she'd go there. So,
Yeah, a lot of them probably wouldn't even work with her, to be honest with you.
Yeah. This is one of those you change your name, move to another country.
and get a really good nose job.
Yeah,
and-
I'm surprised she
yeah.
doesn't live in like Spain or France or some
Right.
shit like that. Exactly. Or Italy or somewhere where nobody really knows or cares who the fuck she is.
Where somebody can go, wow, you really look like that Casey Anthony chick a little bit. It's like, well, I've gotten that my whole life, but no, it's just a really weird coincidence. So look, our noses are different. So yeah, it'd be funny.
Well, guys, you know what we do like to support here on the show. Instead of narcissistic women who allegedly killed their daughter, we like to support super chatters. And we got one from King in the Armor for $1.99. Tom, you want to read this one?
Book I write 200 pages. Pseudo is syphilis.
Seth Phyllis, yes, indeed. And then we got Hemorrhoid Hurts again for Australian $5. At Blaine, Les Patterson Saves the World, the Aussie 007 and 1987 B-grade Magnificence, Cringe Rude Live Action Team America, Drink First and Drink a Lot.
Yeah, I found his review actually on Criticless. It gave it 100%. So apparently a big fan, and there were some fellow Aussies that also popped in and said that this movie is a national treasure. So
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
yeah, it looks ridiculous.
Guys, do you know what a lot of people have been checking out is this story about Amaranth, the Twitch thought streamer / OnlyFans supermodel, who basically was assaulted in an attempt to rob her of up to $24 million worth of crypto. This is an absolutely insane story. In fact, Amaranth was live tweeting what happened. So basically, she was asleep at her home. 3 assailants apparently broke in, pistol whipped her, and forced her to try to open up her crypto account on her phone. But instead of going to the crypto app, she opened up Twitter, aka X, and said, "This is not a joke. I'm being assaulted or robbed right now." And then what she did is basically her husband was like, I guess, surfing X and saw these messages, and he went and got a gun. And there's some weird stuff going on with her husband too, where basically like, there were claims that he was abusive and they were separated. And I guess like their house is big enough where like he lives in a different part of the house and he still helps her produce content. But she somehow got away from these assailants, ran to him. And when the assailants followed her, and you'll see them in this video down here, when the assailants followed her into the other part of the house, the husband opened fire and actually shot one of the guys and caused them to flee. And as the guy's like running away, he's like, I got shot. But this is absolutely like a crazy, like true crime story. And it all stems from like Amaranth on one of her streams. I guess she like showed her crypto holdings, and it was just like $24 million worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum, all from OnlyFans, apparently. This is bringing up a lot of questions about internet safety and female streamers and whether or not they need to be protected and all this other stuff. In fact, let me just show you this real quick. So basically this video that she got off of her Nest doorbell or whatever, she might have to remove it because the police are doing an investigation. But basically these guys shot her door and kicked it open, and basically assaulted her in her bedroom while she slept. And she even says that this has shaken her up so much she doesn't know if she'll ever be back streaming or doing OnlyFans or anything like that. And her OnlyFans, I think it's been reported that she brings in something like $3 million a month, $3 or $4 million a month doing the OnlyFans stuff. And that doesn't count all of her Twitch, subscription revenue and all this other stuff. But she's a multimillionaire many times over. But the fact that these guys found out where she lived, broke in, and tried to actually get her to transfer $20 million plus of crypto holdings to them is absolutely bananas to me. Dutch Butters, you're a big crypto fanatic. You love the Dogecoin. Yeah, you're a big Doge
I got
investor.
my whole. It's kind of tanked out right now.
And you also love thoughts. So what's your take on this this attempted heist?
It's pretty crazy to me, to be completely honest with you. I mean, I guess she was like, she flexed out there on it and showed everybody a picture of her crypto wallet, which is worth millions and millions of dollars, which is kind of crazy. I don't know why anybody would do that, unless you're like me and you go, hey man, I got a whole $70 worth of crypto that used to be worth a lot more, and then in the last couple of weeks it just went straight down to hell. But yeah, I don't know. This is crazy. I guess if she never comes back, she doesn't have to, right? I mean, she can take all her multi-millions and go buy a nice little compound out in the middle of nowhere and be safe, I guess, with her husband or whatever, and live pretty for the rest of her life. She doesn't have to do this stuff anymore. So, good on her, I guess. I am not a huge fan of hers. I've watched very little of her content. I'm not really into the whole thought thing, even though you might say that I am. I like people who put a little bit of effort and time into their streams and and entertain people. I don't know what she does. I don't know what these people do. I don't understand why people give them money, but I don't get it. But at the same time, nobody deserves to be broken into and pistol whipped and robbed. And I think her husband or whoever actually had the gun was a very bad shot, because all three of those guys should be dead right now on the floor of her house. You know what I'm saying? And I guess it should make people wake up, but there's predators out there, and these people need to be more careful with the information that they put out there on the internet.
Brian, an interesting kind of like side effect of this horrible event is that a lot of people are pointing to this as one of the reasons why we need a Second Amendment and why there shouldn't be gun control. Because if she hadn't had a gun in the house, these guys might have straight up killed her, and a gun saved her life. And so a lot of people are saying like every woman should own a gun, and they're using this as proof that like, the Second Amendment and all the attempts to take away people's guns is always a bad idea, because the legal users of guns are the ones that need them to defend themselves. And the guys who assaulted her were all armed as well. And they were like, using the weapons to basically try and like rob her and beat her and all this other stuff. So what's your take on that? Do you think this is a Second Amendment commercial essentially?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, a gun is a great equalizer, bro. You know, you put the biggest killer linebacker, whatever dude up against my 13-year-old, she doesn't stand a chance unless she's holding a Glock. Like that's where you know everything is equal. So I've been training my kids how to shoot. Took them to the gun range. I'm taking them to the gun range again next week. Like I'm teaching them how to shoot, how to manage a weapon, how to clean a weapon, how to understand weapons properly. Because, and I'm not like some big like 2A activist, but I got a gun. I was in the military. I do believe that the right to be armed is a right and that it shouldn't be trampled on. I do believe in some common sense gun control stuff. Like, yeah, like maybe you should, you know, pass a basic background check to make sure you're not like a 3-time felon or an insane person or something like that. But there's a reason why these things exist. There's a reason why the West was won. There's a reason why the Revolutionary War happened. These things wouldn't have happened without those tools, and they're tools. And in the right hands, they can protect. And in the wrong hands, they can kill. In this case, I'm surprised to say she had the right hands and she was able to protect herself. She probably would have been murdered, raped, at the very least, they would have stolen from her. It would have been traumatizing. Instead, she turned the tables because guns are the great equalizer, period, the end. And there are people that require that protection. They're not big, giant linebackers that can, protect themselves without those weapons. They are the great equalizer, and I think they're required.
Odin, one of the interesting side stories here is that there were 3 other female streamers, Valkyrie, Cinna, and Imaru, and they were doing kind of like a IRL stream on the Santa Monica Pier the same night that this happened to Amaranth, and they got accosted by a stalker who apparently figured out where they were, showed up, and tried to get their phone number. When they rejected him, he threatened to kill them, and they had to run into a convenience store to find safety, and the police had to be called and detain this guy. And this has led to a big conversation about the safety of female streamers. In fact, Pokemane, who's a big female streamer, she was on the Colin and Samir show, and she mentioned that she spends upwards of $50,000 a month just on security because she has all types of stalkers and stuff like that. Set aside the fact that she can afford $50,000 a month just live streaming, eating lunch while reacting to other people's videos. But the idea here is that these incidents all taken together seem to be advancing a conversation about the safety of women live streaming. What's your take on that?
For this one, it honestly, if you are going to put yourself out there to that level, to that degree, I'm not saying that, anyone deserves anything. Obviously, I don't. However, I do think that if it's coming down to security, again, you should have to provide your own security. I mean, no one should be paying for that other than the people themselves who are choosing to put themselves out there. And, especially when they are literally using their bodies to make money and are corrupting the souls of so many people in the process. I mean, I'm sorry, what do you think is going to happen? They don't deserve any actual violence against them in any way. And I think that obviously those people still need to be investigated, and, the book of the law needs to be thrown right back at them. And if there's going to be anything as far as these companies providing help to law enforcement, I think that is absolutely something, if they're not doing already, that they should be doing, because again, I think that's kind of a bare minimum, but I don't think that there should be any obligation for any company to be providing anything monetarily, especially to this kind of crap. Honestly, it was this to me is a great reason for why we should just get rid of all that streaming crap in the first place. Shut those websites down, because it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't provide anyone an actual good. And if anything, it just hurts people.
You mean like Twitch and Kick as well?
Or at the very least with those companies, I'm not a free speech absolutist, and so I'm totally fine with there being put limitations on other things.
I want to know what you guys do with your stalkers. Do you invite them into the house? They have parties, yearly barbecue get-togethers at the bar. I mean, that's.
I'm actually taking applications for stalkers right now.
We have get-togethers and sell tickets to come hang out. Come. Come hang
Tom,
out.
the female leftist feminist community out there has looked at these two incidences as examples of how the gaming space is filled with sexism and toxic masculinity and toxic men, and basically
All
they're
while
saying,
selling sex.
yeah, and they're basically saying that women aren't safe doing anything online because men are evil. What's your take on that?
Look, I don't know what an amaranth is. All I know is if you act like a whore, people are going to treat you like a whore. Okay, that's just plain and simple. I may not have as Puritan of views as Odin does on this, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I mean, unless there's a bigger company that's promoting this stuff, then yeah, they could probably provide some of the security or pay for some of it. But at the end of the day, you put yourself out there. This is why celebrities have always had a separation, right? Where we don't always know that much about their personal lives or where they live or how many houses they have or anything like that, because they don't want to be stalked. They don't want to be attacked. They don't want people coming and trying to rob them. Now, I mean, honestly, I guess so. She was showing this off online. Well, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, my first thought would be this is an inside job, right? Like somebody who knows what she. Another thing with crypto, how could you even steal? Like, I don't understand crypto at all.
Yeah, me neither.
Right? Like,
You
I
can
don't
transfer
even
from
understand.
wallet to wallet
Yeah.
Yeah, but how wouldn't you not be able to trace that?
because that's like the nature of
That's
crypto.
Yeah. Wallets are anonymous.
Yeah,
That is
decentralized.
Dumb.
That's what makes this type of theft perfect for these people, and it's
the
why
Wild
it's
West.
absolutely, yeah, it's so stupid. Why would you put your wallet publicly out there? You don't. I mean, granted, you know that people have a lot of money and whatever, but you keep that private. It's insane. But obviously, people are going to do this. I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner.
It's like,
Yeah, Blaine,
no, go ahead.
Blaine, I want to throw this to you because
And men are
Yeah.
simple creatures. So we think if a woman says, I like you, we think you like us. And if you show us your boobies, we think you really like us.
yeah, even if you're paying for the privilege, right, Tom?
Even if we pay you, because
100%.
we don't know the difference. We're stupid.
But you know, Amaranth, you know, she's a very smart business lady, right? Because basically she, you know, used her sexuality on public forums like Twitch and Kick. I think she's exclusive to Kick now because Twitch kicked her off. But basically, like, she used that as a feeder system into her OnlyFans, and her OnlyFans is the real money maker. That's the thing where she's making millions of dollars a month. And so she kind of like leveraged her looks and her popularity on these like free sites to kind of get people into her paid sites. But Blaine, like, you totally nailed it on the head. The reason that this was such a brazen attack is simply for the nature of crypto, where it's like peer to peer, right? Where it's like, as long as like the two of you have cell phones, you can engage in a transaction. And that's how these thieves tried to basically steal all of her $24 million worth of crypto, was to have her open her phone, enter her wallet, and then transfer her crypto holdings over to their wallet. And if this had been something where like she had this money in the bank or something like that,
Right.
These guys would have never bothered, because, you know, they would have tried to rob the bank as opposed to this. And a lot of the framing of this is basically, you know, like, oh, it's because she's a woman. It's like, no, it's because she was rich. And
Right.
they saw an opportunity to rob her. This was all about the money. This wasn't about the fact that she was a woman. This wasn't about the fact that she was vulnerable or peddling sex or like whatever the case may be. It was because she had $24 million that she flexed on live TV. And then guys were like, hey, we could probably steal that. So
Right.
what's your take on this whole like crypto thing? And do you think that anyone else might be in danger of this?
Oh, I absolutely do, especially if they know that this is the type of rich that you are, if you are a crypto person. And the thing is like, we're already tiptoeing heavily around like potential regulation of crypto and all kinds of stuff. The government wants to get involved in this, like they have for a while. And this just seems like another argument for more regulation, which, and I am a very deregulated type of individual. But this whole thing, I'm surprised that isn't part of this conversation as well, and it probably will turn into that. Like I said, I am surprised that this sort of thing hasn't happened more, simply because of the untraceable nature of the crypto and all of that. Like this could, if this gets on people's radars to do this sort of thing, it could be more commonplace. And like Brian was talking about earlier, this is a great 2A advertisement at this point, because it's like, I think honestly, if you're a public figure and you, especially of that caliber, and you don't have private security, you better be strapped all the time. And I mean, there are tons of people in even just this YouTube space where we circulate who like keep their entire families and wives and all sorts of things 100% off radar, so that no one even, there are people that you might not even know are married, or all sorts of things, right? Because it's like, because this can be dangerous, and we have this entire group of people now, whether it be YouTubers, streamers, all this stuff, that haven't really fully grasped the fact of their fame and what it could result in. Whereas, like you guys were talking about earlier, it's like, you know, celebrities stayed off radar, off grid, kind of separated from all of this for a reason. And it was because stuff could go sideways. And these people are famous, and they aren't acting like they're famous, and they're doing stupid things out in public. They're sharing their wallets online. They're not behaving like typical people of fame would behave. And so this isn't a big surprise. And these people ought to all get strapped real quick.
I mean, yeah, you're right, because, you know, even guys on little channels like ours, you know, I'll be streaming some Helldivers or something, and somebody will say something really kind of weird and creepy in the chat.
Right.
That makes you kind of go, okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's a little, you know, weird. You know, I know Tom, you know, I'm sure Tom has had some weirdos, you know, and
I've always said weird, creepy shit in your chat.
No, I'm talking, I bet there's been some like weird people, like, you know, not really,
dude, I have pissed off some creepy mother.
Yeah, I mean, look at like Jeremy, you know, when he got attacked at that con a couple of years ago, you know, and some dude just came up and
you mean the quartering?
Yeah, the quartering, when somebody just came up and decided knocked him in the side of the face. You know, when we have like our get-togethers and stuff like it's coming up in April, you know, we've done that for like 4 or 5 years now. I'm always kind of looking around and just kind of seeing what
you guys have been robbed
there. We've been robbed
times
twice
now.
You know,
like I mean, look, I'm not even going to try and pretend like I'm even quasi celebrity or anything like that.
No,
I'm not saying that either. But like, no, at the end of the day, if I could redo this, rewind this, and start over, I would not put my name out there.
No,
nobody would know where I'm from. Because of these reasons, right? Because I've been attacked endlessly. Like, I wake up every morning, it's like, okay, so what am I going to wake up to today? Right? So, and some days are better than others, but like, I can't imagine being a good looking woman like that and not thinking about the possibility of shit like this happening, or being more prepared. Right? Like, that to me is just stupid. Yeah. Like, I mean, enough of us worry about getting swatted or some other weirdo showing up because they get pissed off about something you say about Zack Snyder or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude, when Mixed Teas was attached to the Popcast and a bunch of other channels for a long time, you can Google Mixed Teas and find an address. And we had someone had tried to break into our shop. Since then, we've moved where we actually do the shirts away from that place. And that's only storage now. So if someone breaks in, it's not going to affect our, you know, the people that work for us and our operation. But for that exact reason, the second we got any kind of notoriety, things got really weird, because people are weird. People, there's some really weird, desperate people out there.
I've warned my kid, my parents, and anybody I've ever dated of the same kind of thing, right? Like, just be prepared or keep yourself away from my shit. So,
yeah, you know, Brian, I know that Tom says that he doesn't know anything about crypto, but you do. What's your take on the crypto aspect of this? Do you think that people need to be like way more careful about, you know, how they like show off their cryptocurrency or whatever?
Yeah, you certainly should not show off your wallet address. That seems that's just next level of retarded. Like, I'm sorry. You should. There's a reason why these wallets are anonymous. Don't show it off that you have it, or else now you're a target, because the only person that can access that is now you. So if you have a ton of money, guess what? You know what the secure part of crypto is? No one can access it unless they can connect it to the one person that has access to it. When you put your money into the bank, go ahead and show off your balance. Go ahead. What are they going to do? Rob Bank of America? But you show off your crypto wallet, and now you're the guy who has to protect your wallet. That's how it works. So don't show off your wallet address. That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, I want to show you what she flexed on X over here. So Bitcoin, $20 million.
Oh my God.
Worth of Bitcoin. Ethereum, $79,000 worth of Ethereum. So a lot of money there. She's got some staked Ethereum as well, which isn't counted in that other number. But yeah, so like she was just like flexing, I guess, off of that stuff, and
Shouldn't do
wrong people saw that.
that. Right.
So-
Should not do that. Yeah. Again, you're the only security for your crypto. There's no bank. There's no vault. You're the security. So just keep it private. like, dude. By the way, I don't have any Bitcoin. I don't have any. All I have is Doge, and it ain't worth much. So don't bother me.
Disney stock. You have Disney stock.
And Disney stock, and I can't transfer that. So it's not worth anything. You would end up, if you stole that from me, you would end up owing them money. So
Well, you guys know what shouldn't be shared as well when it comes to online stuff is apparently past tweets, because the Oscars are any award show, I should say, are causing people a lot of concern because of their past social media posts. And this is actually kind of an interesting story because, you know, we've talked about Emilia Perez, the movie, on the show before, right? By the way, Blaine, what's the ongoing Criticless score for Emilia Perez?
I was just right when you said that. I was going to pull it up because it's low. It's an 8% currently.
Yeah,
So,
Oscar
real high.
So
Yeah,
it's
but,
worse than the robot movie with Chris Pratt?
yeah. So we noticed that Emilia Perez got a lot of Oscar nominations, and it was because it was like a transgender movie. It was the first transgender to be nominated for Best Actress in a Oscar nomination. Netflix was putting a lot of money behind this because it was woke as hell, and they wanted it to win all these awards. But then the tweets of the actress who played Emilia Perez, Carla Sofia Gascon, started getting surfaced, and they were very anti-Muslim, anti-immigration, very problematic stuff for all the people who were trying to support her winning an Oscar. And
I think the one that really didn't help was the one where she's like, Hitler, not such a bad guy.
that was definitely one of them. But now, because of this, basically, there was a different movie. Odin, do you remember the movie that won Best Picture?
It was a Nora.
Nora, yeah, that was the one.
It was
So
essentially porn.
So basically, Nora swept the Oscars pretty much. The actress in that got the Best Actress nomination. And basically, everyone basically said that Emilia Perez had all these wins in the bag until these former tweets came out. And then the Academy shifted to, you know, something that was more in line, which of course was like pornography. So essentially, the common wisdom now is that PR firms, agents, managers, all these people are basically saying that actors, if you have any problematic posts, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like whatever the case, you need to go through and scrub every single one of those from existence, because going forward, it will impact your ability to win awards. And this kind of goes hand in hand with a story we did last week about how producers are casting movies based off of Instagram followers. So not only do you need to have an enormous amount of following on social media, but you also need to make sure that you're not posting anything that could potentially cost you an Oscar win. So I want to start with you about this, Odin. What's your take on basically Emilia Perez getting tanked because of Gascon's problematic tweets and the Academy shifting the wins over to this other movie?
Honestly, it's kind of cathartic because it really exposes just how worthless the Oscars are and how worthless they've been for a long time now. Because we all knew going into it, right, after the 13 nominations, after all of the buzz, that they were looking to crown that movie. They were looking to crown Emilia Perez as this greatest film ever. They wanted all of the attention on the trans community. They wanted all of that stuff. And it was hilarious to watch how this self-destruction happened. And it's sad that it probably took a PR firm from one of these other movies, like looking into this, digging this up to actually, expose this person for the fraud that they are and just, the ridiculous things that they were saying. But also too, it again forced the Academy to then have to change their plans. And so the fact that we could actually look at this and say, okay, this thing got 13 nominations and it won, was it 2 of those nominations? One for a song and then one for Zoe Saldana, which again, even people who've seen the film said that doesn't make any sense, like, at all. That was not a good performance from her. She's fine, but like as far as like the performance and the character she was playing, it was not a good one for her, especially to get any like type of lifetime Oscar at this point. So it just shows you just how completely fake the Oscars are. Everything is about PR, behind the scenes stuff. The votes themselves, we can see now, are easily bought and paid for. And it again, if anyone was still watching the Oscars with any sense of, oh man, they're really rewarding the best people, and that these are people that truly deserve all the things that they're getting, this should have exposed kind of all of that as being complete crap and nonsense. And so I really hope that these numbers for them continue to drop as they continue to go further into obscurity, and eventually the Oscars become a joke.
It was a brilliant follow-up to that Beyonce win for Best Country Album.
Oh
too.
my gosh, seriously.
It's
yeah.
like, God, these guys just keep discrediting themselves at every freaking turn.
Mm-hmm.
At least
Whatever.
the Country Music Awards had the idea to snub her ass.
Right.
Blaine, I want to ask you about this because movies nowadays, they rely so heavily on social media, and it's very obvious that they're following the strategy to cast people who have large, like whether it be Instagram followers or whatever social media followers.
Yeah.
For instance, Dutch Butter's favorite actress, Zendaya, has 127 million followers on Instagram, and that's one of the reasons why she keeps getting cast in movies, is because she brings a certain amount of free marketing and publicity to the table just through her Instagram feed. But when you have to, if you're an actor and you have to not only have these large social media followings, but also balance that out with not doing anything controversial whatsoever that could cost you awards or hurt the movies that you're appearing in, how do you think actors are going to be doing that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And this conversation came up recently as well because Ethan Hawke's daughter. Did y'all see that? Like a couple
Maya
weeks
Hawke,
ago?
yeah.
Maya Hawke, yeah, with the stuff that she came out and said, like, basically that's exactly what's happening is they're basing things on follower counts with how they're casting people and where the money's going and all of that. It is really wild that they're trying to make it like this hyper tightrope walk for these people, but also it's very interesting because we're already seeing like these guys have been getting more and more political. So it's like, okay, well then what part of these statements is safe? What are you allowed to say now that you might not be allowed to say 10 years from now or whatever? It's like they basically can't do or say anything controversial whatsoever. They're basically going to have like a Chris Pratt style like social media account, which is just basically like either press tour stuff or like, here's me on my farm with a goat.
Here's my baby goats.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what they're pretty much going to have to do because otherwise they're going to get roasted. It's going to happen because you can't have an opinion on anything, which honestly is probably best for the industry as a whole because our opinions of all of these people have gone down tremendously, and we've seen the movie star like thing just kind of go away. There aren't really any because you're 50-50 split on whether you're gonna like just be like hate these people's guts, where it's like I just watched Mickey 17 and I saw so much of Mark Ruffalo's stupid ass. If I have to, that guy, like I can't stand him in real life. I think he was a terrible actor in the movie, but it's like just his presence in it, regardless of the character, I was just like, go away, please leave my site. And that's
social media has done that to a lot of actors and a lot of aspects of society. It's like, oh man, you're like a really weird lefty weirdo idiot. I don't want to do anything and hang out. I don't want to hang out with you, and I don't want to watch your shows. I don't want to use the products that you shill. You know,
right.
But you know, before everything, we all just kind of everybody got along better. You know what I mean? It's like we didn't really give a shit what everybody's political opinions were. The only time that mattered was on election day, and you didn't ask people who they voted for because that's not cool. You know, it's just you went on with your life. And
well, and they made the politics the culture, and it's lame as shit. And that's why all of these people leaned into it, is they think that it's the cool thing to do. It's part of the culture, but it's like, well, clearly now it's freaking biting you in the ass after you're continuing to talk about this stuff. And with this big culture shift, especially, like it is going to be an interesting couple of years as all of this people are monitoring X and whatever.
Well, look, man, it's just it's not just I mean, it affects all of us. You know, it's like I talk about it and I make fun of it about how dumb it is, but even me, I you know, if I see somebody that has opinions that I don't agree with, I don't really want to do anything with them. I don't want to stream with them. I don't want to invite them on my channel. I don't want to play video games with them. I don't, you know, it's just like, I got no use for you. And it's sad because they would probably, most of them would be kind of fun to hang out with. You know, my old best friend, my best man at my wedding, super lefty. We didn't give a shit. We liked to play games and play Warhammer together and play video games and talk about nerd stuff. I didn't give a shit that he was an Obama supporter and I was a whatever, whoever, I guess I forget who ran back then, but
McCain.
Yeah, I didn't really like him either. You know, this is kind of a broader topic, but I just think social media has just made a huge wedge in the world, and it sucks because we're not talking to half the population unless we agree with them on most aspects of our life, and it's sad. So whatever.
Well, Tom, I want to throw this to you real quick because the Oscars has like a complicated history with people's social media accounts. Like famously, Kevin Hart had like a tweet that he had put out like 5 years prior to this incident, where basically he was up to host the Oscars. It was a dream of his to host the Oscars, and the Oscars saw this like one tweet that was a little bit un-PC, but at the time it was perfectly fine. And they basically said like, oh no, like, you know, you're too problematic. And he even came out and apologized over the tweet. And even that wasn't enough for Oscars to accept him. And so like, there's all this thought about how even if you apologize for social media, even if you delete the tweets or you know, delete your accounts or like whatever the case, once it's uncovered, you're done. Like there's no coming back from that. What's your take on how the Oscars handles these things?
Well, Bill Maher said it, and that's kind of why this story I think is out there, is he said that, like, yeah, the movie was going to win up until cancel culture kicked in, and that's why it lost. And he's not wrong. I don't disagree, because we've all said that for the last few weeks, that this was probably going to happen. Now, I was surprised they bypassed the gay option, being Wicked, and went straight for the porn, because that's so old school Hollywood. It's like, what is this, 2001 all of a sudden? Like, what happened? But like, I think it was because maybe the gay topic was a little too close to the trans topic. So they're like, yeah, let's just, and then everybody's been saying they're going to give it to the second Wicked movie anyway. So next year, all the Oscars will go to that anyhow. And it'll be back to being gay at the Oscars again. So normal. Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, I'm pissed because I wish they would have won. Because of all the videos and stuff we've been able to make off this and all the money and stuff. Because let's be real, it would have been the final coffin in the woke coffin. Because if anything, just prolonged things a little bit longer, because they circumvented it and got out of their way. And if you ask people like Paulie and stuff who are kind of like on the ground there, he would have told you, and as others have said, like, a lot of people were pissed that this movie was shoved down their throat in the first place. Right? Like, it was almost like it was forced upon them, and I don't know if it was going to necessarily win all these Oscars to begin with. But at the end of the day, it's kind of a wonky thing, because I don't agree or believe in cancel culture. I mean, if I was ever like to become an actor and actually put in a performance that was worth Oscar-worthy nomination, like, I'd be fucked. I mean, I think most of us probably would for that part. I think it's stupid. It's silly. It's like trying to go back and say something somebody said in high school. You know, the only difference is we actually have social media now to keep it forever. You know, as opposed to high school.
It didn't exist when I was in high school.
Exactly, Brian. Yeah. That's my point, right? Like, I mean, we don't know how easy we had it back then.
Yeah.
Man, if people had seen this picture of me when I was in high school, it would have been over.
Oh my
God. Even though I look awesome, I look fantastic.
Well, you'd have had so many bitches, you'd have had to be beating them off.
I know,
stick.
right? I right.
Like,
yeah.
Well, more bitches than he actually had. Yeah.
Yes, more than the locals. But yeah, no, like at the end of the day, I think it's silly. I mean, the Oscars are a joke anyway. I think Odin said it to begin with. I mean, they have been for years. I fell out of them kind of as far as like any respect for them back during the Harvey Weinstein years, because it used to be like a roast. It used to be the time when Hollywood would get together, get drunk, get dressed up, make fun of each other. You know, movies we actually heard of got nominated for shit. Mm-hmm. And then Harvey Weinstein came in and realized you could buy up a campaign. And that's why we had English Patient Zero. And from there on out, it was like a bunch of movies that nobody liked, like Shakespeare in Love and shit winning. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Well, then this happens. right? Just as things are starting to heal, this happens. So no, I think the Oscars are kind of dead. If anything, this Honora movie winning and Conan O'Brien and the fact that the Oscars were kind of one of the least political Oscars in a long time probably helped prolong its life for a little bit longer. But I don't know if that's going to have anybody tuning in next year.
The only way I'm ever watching the Oscars ever is if Ricky Gervais is the host of the show.
That's probably
100%.
Only way.
never going to happen. There's
Yeah,
too
they're
many
never.
people who
He's
don't
never
like him.
doing it again. That's for sure.
That's the
Well,
only
he,
way.
he didn't even get to that ring. Basically, it's like at that point everybody hates him in the room because he's like, take your award and get the fuck out. Shut up. Nobody cares about your politics or your bullshit.
Thank God, thank your director and get the fuck out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Brian, famously, the Oscars laid down some DEI qualifications, so you couldn't even get nominated unless you had a certain amount of diversity, not only in front of the camera, but also behind the camera. And that was a very controversial decision. But I think the biggest controversy here is that they were really hyping up the first trans woman to get an Oscar nomination. And then they immediately threw her under the bus because that person didn't have the proper political stances. So what's your take on that?
Wow. Has there never been a trans woman to be nominated for an award?
For
That we know of?
Best
No.
Actress
Yeah.
award?
Yeah.
That we know of? No. Now, men and women, like Linda Hunt won for playing a man in a movie,
Right.
but I believe that was for Best Actress. See if that makes sense. But like, it wasn't a trans character. They just happened to be playing a man in the movie because Linda Hunt happened to look like the dude who they were playing. So I was like,
Right.
yeah. Other than that, that's like the closest, I guess. And I guess you could retroactively, because didn't Elliot Page technically win one? Or were they
Yeah,
just
I think-
nominated? I'm trying to remember.
Elliot Page. Who's Elliot Page?
The kid in E.T.
What?
Idiot.
No, the girl who transitioned, the one who was in.
Ellen.
Ellen
Okay, from
Page,
Juno. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think, I think it's funny. The second she comes out as like remotely right wing, they like threw her under the bus and they go, "Let's go with the whore instead. That's gonna make more sense." I think with that, until Ricky, if Ricky comes back, I'll watch again. I think that every year it's gonna decline to the point where they won't have. It's got to be costing them money at this point, right? Like they're not making their money back on the Oscars, are they?
They make quite a bit off the
know.
ads. I mean, it's still a big deal. It's like the Super Bowl of movies, but their ratings are in the tank, right? Like they're usually 2 or 3 times what they were last night. Last night was like the third lowest rated Oscars of all time.
It's been going down. I mean, it was 8%
but I mean,
off
there's
from
like-
last year.
Like of all the Oscars, it's like the third lowest.
Yeah.
So there's like only 2 that are rated lower than. And I think the only other one that was worse than this had like 10 million viewers, and it was like 87 or 88 or something like that. Some low year, and I think they had a strike that year too, or something like that. But anyway, like
It's going to decline to the point where it no longer makes financial sense to do it. And
Well-
it'll be go online. It'll be some kind of virtual website.
there's
thing
another
or
reason
something.
why I think Honora swept some of those awards too. What's her face is Jewish, first of all, and a lot of the tweets that Gascon put out. Yeah, like I think there's reasons for a lot of these awards why they were given. Yeah.
the Jews.
Are you saying that Hollywood?
Did you say
supports
it's the Jews?
No, I'm just saying. There's a lot of anti-Jew sentiment going around right now. Let's just say that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
I don't
it's-
know. I didn't watch Honora. My brother texted me and he's like, what the F is an Honora?
Honora's basically Pretty Woman, but porn.
Yep.
Right. I told him the same thing. I was like, I don't know. It's something. I
Now,
think it's porn.
when you guys say porn, do you just mean graphic sex scenes in the movie?
They don't quite get the happy endings, but did Pretty
obviously it
Woman.
wasn't.
Is it is it
X-rated,
Showgirls
but-
level of fun,
Probably.
or is it
from the clips I've seen. It's pretty.
Probably more than.
It's pretty gnarly. I don't think that
Has
they're
anybody
showing,
here
like-
actually seen it? I haven't seen it.
I've only seen clips.
Unfortunately,
I know the
have seen
setup.
it.
Hey,
Yeah.
so,
Odin?
Odin's
so-
seen it. Odin's seen
That's
the
what I said.
pornography.
It is porn.
Is
No,
there
I'm just saying
bad?
it
Well, of course.
Is there
So
bad?
in his
Odin?
words, what's porn is probably like rated R.
I know, yeah. There's
softcore.
in Odin's world, there's some music videos on YouTube that are porn.
Yeah, it's true.
So Let me ask you a question,
Like,
Odin.
we're talking
Is there
full-
vag? Full frontal?
Like there's such a thing. There's full nudity. Like you don't get those kinds of shots, basically. But it is still pornography. Like you are still seeing simulated sex in a very graphic way. Like I just again, it is pornography, plain and simple.
Like Game of Thrones level pornography.
Yeah,
But no
Is there peen?
genitalia,
but like,
right?
but
You
even
see
more,
peen.
even more than Game of Thrones.
Is there
like, just
wieners in
more,
it?
more scenes?
They're
of it.
hanging dong
Is there hanging
in this
dong?
movie?
Honestly,
Yes.
can't remember. I've tried to literally
Block it out.
block it out of my mind.
Ugh.
So
It would have been more concerning if you're like, yes, 13 scenes specifically.
Yeah.
Brian's all, oh, is there peen in it?
Is there
What-
peen?
what-
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
I haven't seen good peen in a while, man.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when a peen used to get you an NC-17 because women just
Right.
couldn't handle that.
They can handle the peen.
No.
Remember
And now,
Kevin
now I can't watch a show. It's like it's rated MA. I'm like, for what? Just peen. There's no women. It's just peen. I'm like, what's going on?
They get away with a lot more peen than they used to be. Yeah.
They
Is-
do.
Yeah.
Is Caitlyn
That-
Jenner in this movie? That's
Right.
no.
Well, Danny McBride did. He's doing press right now for the Righteous Gemstones, and they were talking to him, and he's like, "Look, man, I love to hang dong." He's like, "We're hanging as much dong in this entire show as humanly possible." I'm just like, that's
do
a
you
way
guys
to.
do you guys remember when Wild Things came out and the big thing was Kevin Bacon shows his penis, and it was just this huge
There was a lot of talk of making that
controversy.
NC-17 because of
Yep.
that. And the
Yep.
whole thing came out then was that women will either pass out or freak out. And that is where I think a lot of that Ika penis episode of South Park came from. Do you guys remember that?
Well, let's face it, guys. Nobody wants to see a penis
They get the
unless,
vapors.
unless it's Brian. Yeah.
I was about to say, Brian's like, speak for
They're kinda
yourself.
It depends on the penis. Like, I'm curious about some. I will say it.
I'm not having.
I'm
this
about
conversation.
25% gay, but still.
But Dutch, are there
Just-
any penises you're curious about?
None that I could think of.
And don't forget Bruce Willis in Color of Night.
Oh yeah, Color of Night. Yeah,
We
That
get
was
to
the-
see
that was
that
the first big
anaconda.
celebrity penis on screen, right?
That
Well,
anaconda was.
now they do all the fake ones. It's like a
Big.
prosthetic.
And-
That's kind of
and-
where it began. Yeah, with Marky Mark in what was it?
Boogie
Nights.
Oh,
Oh,
Boogie Nights. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And that makes you wonder: is Marky Mark not packing one or what?
Right.
Oh, he was very upfront about the prosthetic penis at the end.
He's
of
got.
that
I got
movie.
the Irish curse in this mother.
Yeah,
See, this
but,
is the guy that's shilling the Hallow app right now, so we can pray
Right.
every day.
That is. I saw that him, Chris Pratt. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
But Blaine, I don't know if you know this little piece of movie trivia, but you remember the movie Fortress with Christopher Lambert?
No, I don't even think I've ever seen that.
Oh my.
Yes, we reviewed it on the Salty Nerd podcast at one
Oh,
point,
really?
and noticed that there's full ball sack in that movie. There's Christopher Lamb ball sack in that film. And it was just
God.
because like everyone who watched it, all the censors just kind of checked out, and they missed the fact that
There can
There's
only be
something-
two.
yeah, you see full on French Canadian whatever.
That's
Lamb ball
amazing.
sack.
Look
I
at my
need,
testicles.
I need somebody to
It's-
freeze frame Odin's face right now because it is
Right.
a face is the face of pure disgust and revulsion. It's like,
Yeah, but
I can't believe I'm
guys-
on this show today.
Guys, in honor of Odin, though, I want to round out the show
Speaking
by,
of ball sacks,
by asking him about his Raven Awards, because that's the real
Wow.
award
Yeah.
show here, not the Oscars, but the Raven.
I voted. I
Odin,
don't know if
can
I
you-
voted
voted.
correctly, but I voted. I don't
Can you
understand
give us a
your voting
breakdown
system.
of like who won at the Ravens this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So our best picture winner, we did it kind of in a ranking scale. So the number one film, as voted on by the most amount of people, ended up being Nosferatu.
Nice.
ah,
Yep.
all right.
Yep. I think a lot of people very happy with that as being the winner
Yeah.
there. And then the worst movie of the year ended up being Rebel Moon Part 2.
Really
That
Oh,
works.
absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty overwhelming actually. How many people?
Whelming? Did you say
hated it.
whelming?
Now those are the awards
Overwhelming.
I can get behind.
Yes. You also had some others. So the best one-liner of the year was "There's only been one blade. There's only ever going to be
Yeah.
one blade,"
That's
That
a great
works.
line.
which is a great one. Best stunt work went to the Fall Guy, and again, kudos to them. And they broke a
Obviously.
I like
Guinness
that movie a
record.
lot.
So,
Good
so
movie.
what I'm getting here is that these awards actually make sense and go to people
Yeah.
who
Fucking sense.
Yeah.
deserve
They
them,
do.
right? So yeah,
It's almost like the
amazing.
People's
Go figure.
Awards, you know.
It is,
Dude, I mean, seriously, when
We need a people's
if-
choice.
Do yourselves a favor if you've got access to it. Watch the making of Nosferatu. If you see all the work that went into making that movie, you're just going like, how the fuck are they spending $200 million on these superhero movies? Because they spend only $40 million, built almost an entire town. They have sets that are built just for camera moves. All that stuff's practical, makeup, all that stuff. The only scene that's like majorly CGI and it was just put together that way is the scene where they're going down the river on the boat. Right? Like they're in front of a green screen on the boat. That's it. Otherwise, the rest of the stuff is all practical, in camera, done on the day. It's like amazing how they put that together for $40 million, and they can't do that for any Marvel
It's on
films.
Peacock, right? I'm gonna have to
think
take
it
some
is
time
now,
and
yeah.
watch it because I haven't seen it.
It is on the cock. It's writing.
But the making of, I think, is on the Blu-ray, and if you get it on certain streaming services.
Two other popular categories. NPC of the year went to Rachel Zegler. This is her second year in a row to win NPC of the year.
Good for her.
Good for her. And then after 7 years, John Campea, he's been nominated for Shill of the Year every year, has never won it. Finally has won Shill of the Year.
What do you think put him over the edge this year?
I think it was, that Cinderella story, that just people always looking down on him, right? Not thinking that he's shilling enough and not wanting to give him the satisfaction of winning anything. I think finally this year was enough to push him over the edge. Also, there were a lot of people trying to get Jeremy to win because he won 2 years in a row. Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers won Shill of the Year 2 years in a row, and then they tried also to push for me as well. I got nominated this year.
I saw
for Shill of
that.
the Year.
I saw that on there.
Well,
luckily, most people were not really in.
Isn't Jeremy taking advantage of the DI stuff? I heard that he's gay now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that might,
He's
might-
been
might-
gay.
yeah,
It's
it's
a,
definitely
winning,
a factor.
it's a winning strategy, guys.
What?
Yeah.
He's also
But how
very
is-
bald, according to this video I saw the other day.
And how is James Gunn not on there for Shill of the Year? Was he not even nominated?
No, he wasn't. He was not.
How do you
even
not? The guy
nominated.
who actually said The
We had-
Flash was one of the best superhero films of all time.
Yeah. Speaking of James Gunn, when Campea was like, I heard about the Superman screeners, and I heard it's amazing. And I'm like, no, John, shut up. Stop saying that. You're not helping our cause here, bro.
I think it's just because he's just so not on the radar for most people. Because our nominees were Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Geeks and Gamers, John Campea, and then me. So I think
Okay,
I probably
it's
could have
not
been off
like
the list.
even
and then-
directors and stuff like that. It's mostly like, okay.
yeah.
Well, Odin, are you going to be making a list on Criticless about all the Ravens Award winners?
Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
I probably could do that. If my good friend on the panel can make it so that it's easier to find the list instead of having to go to my profile. To
That
find
actually-
the list.
Yeah,
The
that
lists are
actually
hard
was.
to find.
Yeah, that was just actually discussed. We're working
Good.
on that for making some adjustments with the lists.
Well,
So-
Blaine,
Just make it a tab that I can be like,
Blaine,
oh,
Blaine, those of us here at the Salty Nerd Podcast are going to demand that you create a special Ravens Award badge that gets put on the profiles of all the movies that have won it.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's a
Award
great
winner.
idea.
Ravens
Award,
winner.
yeah. We actually did have somebody recently, and that actually was mentioned in our Criticless improvement. And they were talking about listing awards that were won by certain films, and the Raven Awards were mentioned among those. So
Here we
that would
go.
Odin,
be
I think it's time to make a
inserted in
website,
us.
bro.
I have
Like-
a
Yeah.
website.
The Google Sheet thing is cool, but like
It's not a very good website, but I do have a website.
you need a website with just like drop downs. You know?
He's talking about voting for the Ravens Award.
For
yeah,
voting.
voting for the website.
Oh,
yeah, voting
for the Ravens. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean that's just more out of practicality for me because it's easier to collect. The issue was we had spammers. It was kind of insane. Like literally, they were auto filling in thousands of votes. I think at one point it was like over 10,000 votes, and it was obviously not real. And so it was a pain to have to go in and delete those votes while also at the same time paying attention to the Excel rows to make sure it wasn't a legitimate vote. It was a. So if y'all have a
ballot.
recommendation,
Capture,
Same day
bro.
voting.
if there's an online balloting form system that you think is good, that
There
can
is.
also.
I'll
that-
send you some options.
Yeah,
Thank
Odin,
you. Appreciate
this website's like 2004
GeoCities website.
because
yeah.
I
GeoCities,
built it and I
yeah,
am not
yeah.
a web developer. Okay,
It's
I wear my
HTML
heart on my
front end.
sleeve. It's basic functionality stuff, man. Okay.
Microsoft Dreamweaver.
That's bringing me back, Brian. Yeah. All right, guys, we had a lot to talk about today, and we talked about it. I want to thank my fantastic panel of nerds for being here today, starting with OMB Reviews, who's coming in as the top Criticless fan. Odin, do you have any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Yeah, you can find me over at ombreviews.com, my amazing website that's just been promoted. You can check it out there. Also, you can find me on OMB Reviews on YouTube, on Odyssey, on Rumble. Odyssey, unfortunately, no longer has auto backup, and so I'm already uploading to YouTube and Rumble. I mentally just can't do a third website to upload videos to. So unfortunately, my live streams are still there, but any videos are not going to be found there anymore. And you can find me over on Twitter/X, OMB Reviews as well. And thank you as always for having me.
Yes, Twix. Tom Connors Jr., any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
You can find me at Midnight's Edge After Dark, Mead Radio, possibly out front of Home Depot if I paint my skin brown and get really hard up for cash.
I do that every Sunday.
Right?
Yeah.
You make some good money that way.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You only have to do a little bit.
No habla English. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Habla English.
Fans and glory holes are a good way to pay the rent.
I don't know about the glory hole thing. That's what Brian's speed.
I mean, it works. It works. I'm just saying.
Criticless Blaine.
Yes.
Thank you for being here today. Always good
Yeah.
to see you, my friend. It's so great to hear that the app is enjoying so much success. Do you have any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, obviously, yeah, visit Criticless, create an account if you haven't yet. We have a ton of people using it that haven't created accounts yet. If you're one of those people, do that. So create an account on the app. It helps us to bring in reviews and all that sort of thing and drive interactions and everything. Also, go follow our Criticless Cast channel. Go subscribe to that on YouTube. We finally started pushing Criticless Cast and been doing more videos, whether it be daily news stuff or our bigger show where we're reviewing new movies on Thursday nights when they come out. So we're doing that. So give us a sub as that channel kind of grows. It helps a bunch. And then, yeah, you can find me on all the socials. Definitely follow me on those places. I'm Criticless BA on Twix. I don't ever advertise that. And so I just don't look like a real person because I have really small follower counts on everything. So that'd be cool if people follow me other places besides Criticless. So, but
Man, I was one subscriber away from being subscriber 66666. So get over there. Next person's 66666. And
perfect.
Also, Blaine's Criticless Cast is linked in the description of this live stream and is pinned as the top comment on our chat. So go over there, give him a follow. Blaine, what kind of stuff do you talk about on the Criticless Cast?
Yeah, we review new movies, also critic panned movies, since all talking shit about critics pretty regularly. So we've been doing some of those as well, which we were talking about earlier, but it's like you can find me around a lot. On Mondays, I'm on the Monday Hangover with Drunk 3PO. On Wednesdays, I'm on Bro Science with Beardo and X-Wing, where we do manly AF movies. And so I'm doing the rounds. You'll find me other places besides our channel, but our channel is focusing on the new movies. The other shows that I do, we talk about a lot of older movies. And so we're doing a lot of group reviews within Criticless when I'm on these shows. So it's really cool. We get like a big cluster of these like older movies, like we just did Highlander on Monday Night Hangover, which was fun. And so we just did Kingdom of Heaven with Bro Science. So it's cool to watch and review these older movies, and everybody kind of come into Criticless and review them, and we get to talk about y'all's reviews as well, and we get some really funny stuff that we get to talk about with some of these reviews. Y'all are wild, to say the least.
Yeah, Speaking
of older reviews, I just want to point out real quick, I forgot to plug. I'm going to be on with Mephisto in a little bit talking Kick-Ass, because there's a movie Novocaine out right now that's basically the same thing as Kick-Ass.
Oh, nice.
Yep, Jack Quaid. Blaine, two things.
Yeah.
You need to do a morning update of low effort ship missiles where you just read all the low effort ship missiles.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
And the second one, I had it in my mind before Tom so rudely interrupted me.
I am so sorry. I was to try and get Ned in earlier.
Yeah, I'll just hit up Blaine off the show if and when I remember it, because I'm Hackmaning, like I got advanced Alzheimer's.
Would you quit doing that already? I'm with Dutch. Stop it.
Brian from the Popcast, any final thoughts on where can people find more of you in about a half hour?
Actually, in about 15 minutes. We're going at 12:15 today. We're trying to. People were complaining about it taking too long, so we're gonna speed it up about 15 minutes. I see 15 minutes to, take a poop and grab some coffee, and then we can start it up. Also, go to mixtease.com or mxtz.co. I just put the link in there, and buy some cool stuff from almost everyone on this panel. Odin has some stuff on there. Tom has some stuff on there. All the Salty Nerd stuff, Brain Show stuff, Popcast stuff. That this is how I afford to not have to go to glory holes every Sunday night. So if you don't buy anything, then you're forcing me into a life of whoredom, and that's not. No one wants that. No one wants that.
Well, I mean, Amaranth does pretty well, Brian. So, Blaine, I just remembered what I was going to tell you now that Tom has left us. You need to review Fortress and be on the lookout for the lamb ball sack.
Wow.
Okay, the lamb ball sack. Is it like I set in gum kind of situation, or is it like a?
It's one of those things where if you're not looking for it, you won't notice it.
Come on, I got to go to work here soon.
All right, Dutch Butters. Any final thoughts and what's going on with the gaming channel?
No, I don't really have any final thoughts other than it's cool seeing Blaine again today. Miss you, man. We need to get you on the show
You too,
more.
buddy. Yeah,
it's really been awesome watching you grow Criticless, and it's really been fun watching you get on all the different channels to get some exposure out there with this giant community. It's a really good community, and it's really been fun watching that. And I promise I'm going to start watching movies again, and I'll start doing some reviews on there.
You've been missed. You've been missed.
I know. But over Salty Nerd Gaming, it's just more of the same. Streaming almost nightly, taking a night off every now and then when I'm just too tired when I get home from work. But late night streams, and we do in our weekly Salt Divers, Hell Divers devoted podcast every Tuesday with Alex. And I think we're going to be doing some members only content this week as well. So if you're a member of that channel, look for that. And we have a really fun community over there. So join us.
Yep. And we do want to point out that Criticless is a free speech forward platform.
That's right.
So you can be honest in your reviews and not worry about getting your account taken down or slapped with some type of jail sentence if you're in the UK or something like that. I want to give a big shout out to all the Super Chat supporters today. John Yulden, Kink in the Armor, and Hemorrhoid Hurts. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Always love you guys. And also thank you to everyone who gifted memberships. Jillian made, and I'm blanking on his name, Eric Winberg. And of course, this mysterious Criticless cast.
Those guys. I hear they have a really studly host over there. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, those guys dropped some major Salty Nerd memberships. And guys, I promise we are going to be updating members content sometime soon. We've just been so busy and we haven't had time to get everyone together and do the members content. But so we appreciate y'all hanging around for that. There is a playlist with previous members content in it, and we got some good Dutch Butters moments in there. But that's it for our show today, guys. Until next week, same salty time, same salty channel. And as always, stay salty, my friends.
Later.